Hey everyone, Dance Mom today here to give you a review and tip video on a product that I have tried for 2 months now, and it is the Diva Menstrual Cup. Something that is very popular these days. It's an alternative to using tampons or pads. It's much better for your body, a lot cheaper in the end, and has some great benefits once you get used to using it. So I'm going to go over the features of the cup and give you some tips that I found useful when I was using it for the last couple of months. So we'll start with the features of the cup. This particular one is size 2 because I have had children. That's what they recommend. The size 1 would be for younger women who haven't had children, because when you have had children, your body does change, as we all know. One thing I need to mention before I go into this is before you start using a menstrual cup, you should really check where your cervix is inside your body. It does sound a little bit gross and a little bit put offish, but it isn't that bad, especially if you're used to having kids and you've gone through childbirth and you're used to seeing blood and all that jazz. This shouldn't be that gross for you. And honestly, it's not that bad. What you need to do is you need to take your finger and you need to just slide it up into your vaginal cavity up there and just feel around and see where you can find your cervix. Everybody's cervix is different. Also remember, during your cycle, your cervix does change. It starts up high, and as you have your period, it does lower down. And when you're in the middle of your period cycle, it is the furthest down it will be. So when you do check it, it's just to see how far up it is and what size cup that you, or what style cup, menstrual cup, you should go for. I got the Diva Cup because it was the most popular one that I could find information on, and it seemed really good. The only problem I have with this one is it is quite a big cup. It actually comes with a stem down the bottom that sticks out a little bit more. And because my cervix is quite short, this can be a little bit big, but there was a tip that I found the second month when I used it that actually worked quite well. So there is a ridge at the top here, and you can see it says the Diva Cup on there, if you can see that, and it also has some measurements, and this goes up to 15 mils, and you can go a little bit higher, but I wouldn't recommend you let it go any higher than 15 mils when it's full up, because it will start to leak. It also has some ridges down the bottom here. This is designed for when you are removing the cup. It's easier to grab, and it is silicone, so it's very soft. The way that you put these cups in is there are a couple of different folds. There's the fold in, which I think it's called the fold in. I'll have to look that up and have a check. But what you do is you take your finger here, you push that in like that, just like that, you can see, and you kind of grab it with the bottom of your hand and grab it with your other hand, and then it looks like this. And that is probably the easiest way to put it in, and that's the way I like to do it, because I can get it in quite easily. There's also the C fold, where you push the whole thing from the top just all the way in and then bend it over, and that's the C fold. See how it looks like a C? Yeah, I didn't try this one because I thought this one looked a little bit wide to get into your vaginal cavity there, so I like to use the other one. When you are inserting it, make sure that you do have some kind of lubricant on the outside. It makes it easier to put it in, and it doesn't have to be actual lubricant. Water works just fine. When you're on your period, you do have a lot of natural lubricant down there anyway, but this will just make it a little easier to put in. So you fold your cup like this is how I do it. Now the way I find the easiest way to get it in when I do it is to put one leg up on the tub, or just to bend your knees, and that it actually goes in better for me that way. When you put in, use your fingers and you slide it in like you would a tampon, and it usually pops open. Once it hits your cervix area, it will pop open like this. If you want to make sure that it's popping open properly, you can just push the bottom like that, and it pops open like that, and it will suction on. One tip that I found works really well for me is when you are putting it in, you pull up your Kegel muscles and slightly push on the end, and it will actually go up a little bit better. And the reason I suggested you find out where your cervix is because when I have to put it in, I have to kind of push it at a certain angle to get it on there. And if you know where your cervix is, it makes it a lot easier to place it in the optimal position. When you do put it in there, you want to make sure that your cervix is in the actual hole here. And the best way to do that is to once you feel it's in there, run your fingers around it and make sure that it's there, your cervix isn't on the outside, because if it is, it will leak a little bit, and you don't really want it to leak. It's not something you want to happen. The whole idea is to put this in and leave it in up to 12 hours. That's the recommended time that you can leave it in. Everybody's different. I can't leave it in for 12 hours because my flow is heavier, so I do have to change it maybe every 4 or 5 hours. But at nighttime, I can leave it in for 12 hours because you just go to sleep, and it's very comfortable. It's so good. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's the idea when you put it in there. You also want to turn it a little bit to make sure the suction is good when it's placed in there. If you do, some people can feel it in there. If you can feel it too much, like when the stem was sticking out, I could feel the stem kind of sticking out a little bit. So that's why I actually cut the stem off. And it's up to you. You can try it out first and see which way is more comfortable, and then you can adjust it that way. If you do find it is too big, like I found it was too big for certain times during my period, there is a tip that I have found and I have researched where you turn it inside out like this. Okay, and it just takes off a little bit off the bottom here, and it still works just fine. I actually find this better when I'm in the middle of my period because my cervix is lower. One thing, if you are going to do the method of pulling up your muscles and kind of pushing it, don't push it on the end here because it will push this bit in. You want to grab it on the sides here and just kind of slide it up that way. It sounds kind of gross. I know this all sounds kind of gross, but honestly, it's not that bad. When you want to trying this out for the first time, maybe try it out in the shower. And you don't have to be on your period to try it. You can try it out when you're not on your period, just to get the idea or the feel of how to place it in. It will be different though because your cervix is in a different position, so you got to remember that if you're trying to do it when you're not on your period. When you are on your period and you want to try to put it in, probably the best place to do it is at home in your bathroom, because then you can, if you feel like you need to take it out and wash it, and all you have to do is wash it off in the sink, then it's a lot more comfortable to do it when you're in your own bathroom. If you are out and you need to remove it and empty it and put it back in, that's no problem at all. My suggestion is finding a toilet stall that has a sink in there, because when you take it out, you want to put your fingers up there, and this little tab here is supposed to help you. But I found the best thing was to do is actually find these little ridges. That's what they're here for. You squeeze in and you just slightly pull down. It sounds like it's going to hurt. It doesn't, because this is so squishy. It's not going to hurt your body at all. Well, it didn't hurt me anyway. And then as you're pulling it down, make sure you pull it down like this, because you don't want to tip it. Because if you're in a public stall, even if you're at home and you tip it, it will, flow out, tip out. So you tip it down, you pull it down, and you just tip it into the toilet, and you take it to the sink, and you just make sure you turn the water on first before you put it underneath, because I've put it underneath, turn the water on, and go, psh, and that was kind of gross. So turn the water on first, have the flow, and then put it underneath the tap and just wash it out. You don't need to use soap, water's fine. And then just fold it up and put it back in, and take your time. Don't rush. Don't think that, oh my gosh, I didn't get it. Oh, panic. If you don't feel like it's in properly, just take it out and try again. Before you do use it, they do recommend that you do wash it all or sterilize it, boiling it. I didn't bother boiling it when I first got it. I just washed it, and then after my second time, I did boil it for about 5 minutes in the pot, and then I washed it. But if you do use wash, make sure it's soap-free, fragrance-free, and paraffin-free. And I just use my baby soap because that has all those features, so that worked out well. One suggestion I do make is, even if you have this in and if you feel like that it's in properly, I do suggest the first couple of months at least, when you're getting used to it, is to wear some panty liners, just in case you do get to the point where, because once it fills up, it will start to leak out. And there's actually holes here that are designed to do that, so then you don't end up hurting your body by having this thing suctioned in and no way of having the blood leak out if it's too full. Most of the time you'll be able to feel if it's doing that, but it is good to have a panty liner on, just in case you don't realize that your flow is so high and it fills up, and then you're leaking all over your underwear and stuff. You don't want to do that. You don't want that. So just put some panty liner on, and that way that will catch any little leaks that you may have if it does fill up quicker than what you anticipate. When you do get the Diva Cup, it comes in a box, and it also comes with a little bag here. And after you've had your period, you're supposed to clean it out and let it dry. Make sure it's dry first, and then you can pop it in this little bag here, and you can store it in the bag. Okay, it's basically supposed to be able to let it breathe. I just ended up sticking it in my cabinet. You know, my husband doesn't really care about this stuff. It's not like I got to hide it in a little bag. But I guess if you're going on vacation somewhere and you want to take it with you, or you know, you're going away for the weekend, or you're going to somebody else's house and you want to take it just in case, this is a nice little option to carry the cup in. That it was my experience with the Diva Cup. I thought it was really good. I was a little hesitant at first. It was a lot of getting used to. I found the second month I was much better at putting it in and feeling like it was in there properly. You are supposed to be able to exercise with this in. One thing you cannot do is have intercourse. Okay, don't do that with the Diva Cup in. Okay, not that we really feel like doing that during our period anyway, but just a suggestion, don't do that. Okay, and I think it is a great option to use instead of using the tampons and the pads. And when you're out, all I have to take is panty liners. It's so much better now, and having to take all that with me. If you don't get cramps or anything like that, which most people do, but if you're one of those lucky people that don't get cramps or any of the period symptoms, you won't even know you're on your period. You put this up there and you'll probably forget it's even there, especially if you've got the correct size. There are different shaped cups out there. This is just the first one of the first ones I've tried. So I know there are a whole bunch of different manufacturers, and I've seen some videos with, gosh, so many different types. It's a little overwhelming. So I decided to try one of the most popular ones first and go from there. It does work better for me turned inside out because I've gotten used to being able to put it up and take it out. So that's why I tried this one to begin with. I hope this helped anybody out there curious about menstrual cups. I did order this off Amazon and it came to me from the US. You can buy Diva Cups in Australia for those women watching who are in Australia. And there is a Facebook page that I will link below of lovely ladies specifically for Diva Cups, but you can talk about other things in there too to do with your period and things like that, because sometimes we just feel embarrassed to talk about it, which you really shouldn't. I mean, you've had children. This is not any different. This is just the in-between part. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to help you out. Just pop them below. I will do some research if you'd like. If you have anything that you want to find out that you may not know where to find it out, I'm happy to help you out that way. You guys have a great afternoon, and thanks for watching. Bye.